Hi. Welcome to our C# video tutorial. And this it will be a complete C# tutorial. So this is our first video. We'll see how to create a simple console project in Visual Studio. So we'll be using Visual Studio 2015. The contents we'll see throughout this course is going to be how to use variables and what are the different data types and how can we change data types. Also, how can we use operators, and also how can we use comments in our code. Comment it's not a functional thing, but we have to know how it works and we have to know how to use it early in the programming phase, because we have to have comments for everything we do. That's why came up on top. So next we'll see conditional statements, if else and switch statements. Then we'll see how to implement loops like for loop and while loop. Next, arrays, simple array and list we'll see. After that we'll see how to implement functions, simple functions who will take simple values and also return simple values. After that we'll see an object-oriented part of C# by defining classes and how to implement inheritance, how to create constructors, class constructors, and also access modifiers and another object-oriented concept called encapsulation. And finally, we'll see how to manage exception handling in our C# projects. Okay, so let's start by opening our Visual Studio 2015. If you don't already have Visual Studio, you can easily download it from Microsoft site. At least you will get a trial version or a free community edition version. So it will be a simple software installation process to install it. No need. So after installation, it doesn't require any configuration. You can just open it and create a new project. So right now, this is what we are going to have when we open Visual Studio. As I said previously, I'm using Enterprise Edition 2015. So let's create a default project and let's see how can we implement a simple Hello World application. So we can click New Project here, but as a standard, we can go on File, New, then Project. Okay, this is our project template. From Windows, we're going to see console application. Okay, so Hello World, and we have to tell it where to store our project. So let's change our project location. Okay, so this is going to be our project folder, and then I need you to create a Hello World with it. Okay, let's say okay. Now our project, simple console application project, will be created. In this tutorial, we are only going to see how to implement the programming functionalities of C#. So we will be only using console applications throughout the course. If you are interested in web application or desktop application development using C#, you can visit our other courses. So this is the default project created. So since this is our Hello World project, we will see what is the file structure and what are the main parts in Visual Studio that we're going to use frequently. So to see that, here is the Solution Explorer window. If it's not there already, then we can access it from View, Solution Explorer. So it will be pop up here. Now, like as you can see here in the middle, we have an auto hide button. I can click it. Now it's hidden here. So anytime I want it, I can access it from here, and it's hidden. So if I want to lock it here and I want to see it every time, then I can enable a docking feature. So now it's always going to be here. So the file hierarchies at the top, we have a solution. Solution means it contains different projects or different packages. So we have one project here. It's included in our solution. I can add another project inside this solution. So solution is like a container. It has nothing to do with our project, but it's just a container. It can contain multiple projects. If you want to do a big project, then we need to classify our projects. We need to classify our functionalities into different groups or into different projects. We might use this to implement hierarchies like 3-tier architecture, N-tier architecture, or some other grouping mechanism that we like to implement. So in that case, we'll have a general package called solution, and in that we'll have multiple projects. Now we have one project, but still Visual Studio will create a default solution for it. Now our project name is Hello World, like we tell it when we create the project. In that project, there are items or files being created by default. We'll see two of them right now. The rest we'll find out as we go along. So what is app config? It's just an XML configuration file that will help Visual Studio, or that will help .NET to maintain our configuration or to document our configuration. And if we want to add any configuration values, we can put it here, and of course we can access it from our code. So it's like a configuration file, application configuration file. That's why they call it app.config. So the second and main part of this project is our program.cs class. CS means it's a C# file. So it's a class. Let's see what it contains. A simple empty class contains this. At the top, we have using statements, which means we are including or we are importing .NET libraries that might be used in our main function. So what Visual Studio does is it imports default and basic libraries in Visual Studio for our project to use them. Okay, we might not use them at all, but just in case we want them, they will be included here. So after that, this one is our project structure. As you can see, namespace means it's basically our project name. It's just a container. We have a namespace, a big category. In that, we'll have class. We will explain what class is and how it works in our object-oriented session. But for now, just consider it as a grouping mechanism or a packaging mechanism. So we will have a generic container called namespace, and then we have class. The class name is exactly the same as the file name. So each file will contain one class. it's basically, it's not being restricted. We can have multiple classes in a file, but it's recommended that one file contains one class. So in that class, we have a function, default function called main, which means every execution of our project will start from our main function. So when we try to test our application, it's going to be started, or it's going to start execution or reading our command and implementing them in our main function. So in main function, what we are going to do is just show an output called hello world to the user. What we are going to do is console dot, we have a function called a write function, console dot, when we say dot, Visual Studio Editor will give me provided functions. So from that I'll use write line function, and also Visual Studio tells me that what this function is doing, or what this function does, and what are the parameters being required, how many number of functions are there with this same function name. So it will be clear, all these concepts will be clear as we go along. Just don't worry about them. Just let's see hello world. This will show an output window, a console window saying hello world. Let's try, or let's test our application first. Let's save it. And if we want to test our application, we have to click on start. So it will start, or it will compile or build our application, as you can see in status bar, and it will open our application. See, there was a console window, and also hello world is already seen, but it doesn't wait, because what I told it to do is to show an output, nothing else. So it shows the output and it closes itself. If I want it to stay until I want to close it, then I have to tell it to wait for an input, which means I told it to write, I told it to read something from the user, which means it should wait for the user to give it something. Now let's try save, run, or start. Now as you can see, this is our console application. So gives me the hello world text, and now it's blinking here, waiting for something to type, for something for me to type. When I press enter, the last line is executed, so it will terminate the application. So this is our hello world application. I hope it gives you some basic introductions about how to use Visual Studio and how to create simple applications, and what are the basic contents of our class or our project. So this will be we'll end here for our hello world project. Thank you for watching our video tutorials. Also make sure to subscribe to our YouTube video channel for future notifications. Thank you very much.